Hang on.
Well. It's Friday night. As you can see, we've got a couple of people backstage. And hopefully we've got a few people ready to watch, listen, and take on the enemy. So long as we stay within YouTube's terms and conditions. Hello, local. If anybody needs the link, I can arrange it later. Hopefully, be able to pass it around either on Discord or Telegram. I'm not pinning it this week. The reason being is due to the content. Could we be sailing close to the wind? Anything's possible, especially when we got people like Mellows around. You just never know what's going on. Hello, Eddie. How are you? And UK Transparency and local. Nice to see you in here. This is going to be an interesting evening, all things being equal. Okay, so let me introduce our guests. We've got the one and only Grandad, who's actually here from he's going to try and be serious. And somebody who's even more serious, and that, of course, is Nicholas. More commonly known as RAF Scampton. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Good evening.
And I do mean that in the politest possible way.
I hope everybody is well.
I hope so, yes. I truly hope so. I'm okay. I've had enough of a few Karens on the websites and in YouTube particularly. People who should know better, or I thought would know better, but they don't.
Just going to come up with that question on the local. We can't
say that again. You're a little bit far away from your microphone.
I said, just locals to come up with that question. What would you do if an illegal stepped in front of you? I said we can't really comment on
that. We got Doghouse. Hello, Doghouse. How you doing? And Stango, please refrain from using hateful and racist comments. Oh, how true, how true, how true, how true. Can I just say that regardless of whether you're blue or not, I do request that we remain respectful to the topic, the people we're going to be talking about, and also to each other. I think that's usually the way. It's very, very rare that I host a semi-serious show. I'm going to try. Honest. Can't guarantee it'll work. So the topic is whether or not, actually, I'll go back a little bit first of all. We are getting refugees right, left, and centre. They're coming across the channel, they're being flown in, they're coming in the rubber dinghies. Regardless of what my personal views are on this subject, I'm going to do my best to be neutral-ish. I'll do my best anyway. A lot of people seem to believe that it's the right thing to do to move all the refugees or who are people who are claiming asylum, regardless of how they got here, out. They want them out of the hotels, out of the B&Bs, move somewhere else because it's costing an absolute fortune keeping these people with a roof over their head when we've got lots of people who don't have roofs on their head over their heads. And it's costing a minimum of £150 per night, per bed, or per person. So the government has come up with a couple of cost-cutting ideas, as they always do. They're very reactive. They're passing a bill and backdating it to, I believe, around the 12th of April, when it was first announced. That anybody who comes into this country illegally will be, and I better get this right for a change, will be transported to Rwanda.
Yeah.
However, in order for them to be transported, and this reminds me of the days when we did this last time, we moved everyone over to the other side of the world, literally, and put them in Australia. They've got to be held somewhere. So what happens is they get held currently all over the place, and certainly not in any sort of detention centres. But when we start moving them out, the second thing that the government have said is we have lots of disused air bases. They are perfect. Next it will be we have disused sea craft, such as cruise ships, and dare I say it, battle destroyers. Etc. Aircraft carriers. Hello there, Gypsy. So, and then of course you got the army barracks, which will probably be perfect. Lots of crown-owned property there where the government could have. You got all the territorial bases in the middle of the centres, town centres, etc. You got scout camps, I suppose. You can put them there, but the government got to put them somewhere, and this is where the problem is. We've got to accept that they're going to be here, and if we've got to accept that they're going to be here, we've got to look at how the hell we're going to house them on a temporary basis until they move on to their next destination. But should we use places like RAF Scampton, which I believe is where the dam busters trained with their bouncing bombs to blow a dam up over in, I think it was Germany. I could be wrong.
3 dams. 3 dams.
3 dams. Okay, well, I know they use more than 3 bouncing bombs. But there, in this particular case, it's already been designated, it's been disused, and now it's going to be run by G4S. As we know, G4S have an excellent rating when it comes to transporting people around, and we know they never lose anybody, and if they do, they'll just ring them up to check that they're okay. But they're going to be running the show. There is a local group who are doing their best to discourage. The owners of the local shop closed it, and I may be wrong, but another shop opened up within the barracks before anybody moved in, but they forgot to tell the staff. Oh, well, I stand corrected.
Go on, Nicholas.
Okay.
Can I just
but more on that? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, all I was going to say is the MOD closed the shop at RAF Scampton on the old married quarters side they just walked in and said, "You closed." Simple as that. Not even the staff knew about it. And a shop hasn't been opened up on the tech side yet either.
Well, that is down to the government and their well-functioned way of doing things. I've got to say one thing. I hate to put it, but let's face it, they're not going anywhere. They're going to be here, these refugees, regardless of whatever they're called, what label you want to put on them. I'm being polite for a change. And as I put in today's promo, for those who saw it, is the best place to put them in the middle of a field and build them their tents there, etc. Hello, Toking. And Crustacean Snowy, nice to see you. Sorry, mate, missed you. Or should we put them on disused cruise ships? Well, here's a question. And I'm going to throw it open to our two wonderful gentlemen who obviously save our Scampton. I'll just swap you around so people can see you. There we go. Because StreamYard's in the way there. I do apologise. He's going to explain more about what the government's plans are. We can decide ourselves whether we think it's right or not. We can talk about it. So if you've got any questions, throw them in the chat. We'll see what we can do. In the meantime, there you go. Save our Scampton. State your case.
Okay, then. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hi, UK Transparency. Not seen you in a while. Good to see you all. But anyway, here we go. Let's just start with something that was planned for Scampton when they announced in 2018 that they were going to close it. They moved the Red Arrows to RAF Waddington. Scampton then closed just recently. There was a £300 million plan to transform Scampton, retaining the airfield itself, the heritage, and everything else to do with the dam busters on site, as well as an aviation excellence place. You know, they're going to create 1,000 jobs. You know, no problem there. That's brilliant. Great news for Scampton. It's what is needed, especially for the heritage and the history and everything else like that. Brilliant. But then the government decides, in their infinite wisdom, as people may be aware, that they're going to stick 2,000 illegal, well, they call them illegal immigrants. Call them what you will. I'm not going to get into that part of it. You know, and they're going to stick them on Scampton, even though the base is closed. Yeah, but the problem is, we've all got our own views about illegal immigrants, migrants, whatever you want to call them. They're going to be living with a small fence very close to the population that are there in the old married quarters. There's even a primary school there, you know, so think what you will on that. That's what, you know, I think it's a bad idea to have all these single men that have come over, you know, not wanted, not asked to come over or anything else like that, but they've come over and they're going to house them there. So what's happened is that a group has been started and they're trying to get this stopped so that this £300 million deal with the 1,000 jobs can still go ahead. The government are adamant they're going to put all these men on there. Well, the problem, the other problem with it is that the government have also said that these men are not going to be prisoners or anything else like that. They can come and go as they wish. The other thing is they will be given a mobile phone. And if they're not back at night, then they'll give them a ring and see if they're okay and if they need assistance or anything. So my thinking there is that a lot of these people that go there are going to go there and then disappear into the night because they don't want to stay there. They'll lose themselves in the cities and stuff like that. That's my personal view. The other thing about it as well is that, you know, the place isn't set up for it. It's not a very good place for it because the main road going past Scampton is dangerous. It really is. these men are going to be walking into Lincoln city centre down a pathway that's so narrow, it's very close to the road. Very close. I mean, the grass verge is not even a foot and a half between the path and the road. No, many accidents have happened on there. The other thing is that that they're going to be walking down there. That someone's going to get hurt. Someone's going to get killed. And not that I would want to see any of them get killed or get hurt. No, not at all. But it is not the right place. And what is needed is support from everybody to oppose this. But it's not just Scampton. There's RAF Wethersfield. They've managed to put a stop to it for the moment, but it's the same kind of problem there. There's been talk about the former RAF Curtin and Lindsay, that they've already started putting them in there. Well, that place was sold off. They're building houses on there. Now, I haven't been able to ascertain whether people are going on there or not as yet, but I will do in due course. There's also the barracks of the former RAF North Luffingham, which then changed to St George's Barracks in Rutland. They were talking about sticking 20,000 of them on there. I mean, where does this end? How much can this government take, or how many of these people can the government take? What effect is it going to have on the indigenous population? This is wrong. It needs stopping, and stopping now. Whether people agree with me or not, that's entirely up to them. We all have our own opinions on it and everything else. Absolutely fine, but this is my opinion, my personal opinion. So thank you, Jen. But anyway, I do think I'm putting my point across more so on Scampton, because Scampton's close to my heart. I've been in and around that place for many years. All I'll say is that we need to stop this. We need to stop it as soon as possible, because it's not fair on the indigenous population. One thing that springs to mind is, why can't a place like Scampton be opened up for veterans? Because veterans are used to a military place, and to move them on into accommodation from there, it would give them structure, and they would feel like they've got structure on a place like that. Then you could help them move into independent living. You could have everything in place.
Don't forget though, there's also, I'll be careful how I say this, the dog, what belonged to one of the officers who's got a grave there, they changed their name to Trigger from another name, which I can't say on here.
Exactly. And the other thing is, one important point here as well, is that they're talking about having on site for these 2,000 people at Scampton a medical centre and dentist. Now, you tell me, everybody in the chat there, can you get a dentist or medical for the love and the money just like that? We can't seem to get them very well if we need them. So, and they've got them all put on hand for them and everything. Where's that fair? It's not. Simple as that. But that's my point. That's what I've stated. I open the floor to everybody to have their say.
Yeah.
Well, I have a question.
Of course.
This is, I disagree with it. I'll say that now. I do disagree. And I agree a lot with what you were saying. However, there is, where are we going to house the refugees? And at the rate that they're coming into the country, I'm talking combined legally and illegally, because anybody who comes over gets away with it. What are they going to do? Put a tag on them or something and keep track of them? The government said they're not going to run these as prisons. Yet, to me, if the government are going to insist on doing this, then higher fences need to go in. We need to also ensure that the military police are in charge of the base and there's a presence on the base at all times. Two reasons. One, the military, and they can take a lot of the military sites. But secondly, and just as importantly, they can also act outside of the military police and on the street, providing they've done the relevant training. And there are lots of military police in London looking after MI5 and MI6, etc., and the government as well. Why not use some of those people on these air bases if they insist on doing it, or even in an open field?
Yeah.
Let the farmers have some money and let the farmers rent out a field, and we can put shanty towns up, etc., but ensure that everything all has hot and cold running water, everything. Put the money into those areas, and that way you can generate jobs.
Right. There's one point I want to make on it. Remember, to put them in the hotels, then they come on a stumbling block. There's something in law where if they're in the hotel, they cannot process them, whether they're illegal or illegal. They will not tell them while they're in that place. And that's the only reason I can think that trying to get them out of the hotels. I don't think it's about the expense. It's about they've messed up a bit with the law.
Well, the problem we've got, as we all know, is where to put them. Yeah, fine. Yeah. So what needs doing is stopping them from coming in the first place. Now, the problem, as I've seen it from my own eyes, is that France are funneling these people straight over here. They don't want them in their country. So it wouldn't surprise me, and this is only a personal opinion again, that it wouldn't surprise me if they were giving them the rubber dinghies to get over here. You know, there was just the other day a news article was saying that a French warship told a ferry to reroute so that this dinghy could get over the sea. They were escorting the dinghy over. Where's that right? Why can't France take more or whatever? I know they've took quite a lot so far, but the thing is, they shouldn't be funneling them straight over here. We're paying them millions and millions and millions of pounds to stop this from happening, but yet they can't seem to stop these dinghies from their own shores. You know, they're employing a lot of people to do this. Well, so what's these people?
Yeah, this is the reason why they're backdating, and there's something which UK said is that maybe automatic DNA extraction on entry maybe would help track them down. I agree it would, but unfortunately it's against the Human Rights Charter, European human rights and our human rights as well. So we couldn't do that, regrettably, but it's a good idea.
Technically, surely they could get away with that because they have done an offence by coming here. So I know they're not criminals as such, but they're here.
They are breaking our law, not any other laws, because we're no longer in Europe. We're not. Nobody's breaching any European legislation. It's agreements that we've had in place and are in place. You know, I wasn't having a go at you, UK. I didn't say, as I say, I'm only thinking because a lot of them don't have identification, and I agree we should be able to identify them. But once you start, okay. From what I can gather, from what I've read, and what people have told me, I can't say for definite. So this is only allegedly. If and when the people start being moved onto these camps, and that's what they're going to be. They're going to be camps for them. When they leave, they will disappear. They said they would disappear if that was the case because they liked their hotels, they liked their bed and breakfasts. Whereas logically to me is we're spending all this money on housing people, but and then there's the flip side, we don't spend money on our homeless people, we don't spend money on homeless veterans, where
Exactly.
what Nick was saying makes perfect sense for helping out veterans. But we've still got this problem of where do we put them and where do we store them?
Well, here's another point then. They've tried twice to bring the national identity card in. Is this going to bring it in?
Nope.
Don't you think so? I do.
Not unless they are willing to do it free of charge, and it would be along the same law as registering to vote. They would make it a legal requirement, and they put a fine in place if you don't, but then you've got to track you down.
Yeah, yeah.
There's another strand to this that hasn't been said as well. All these migrants, illegal immigrants coming in, call them what you will, yeah. How many of them are actual terrorists that are slipping in through the net? Exactly. We don't know.
Well, apparently, one of the one of the national papers run that. I think it was yesterday or day before. They said they found some. But I can't confirm that because I can't remember which paper.
It was 12. It was 12. I read that. That they already have caught 12 of them that are on the terrorist watch list, and they tried getting in by ditching the papers and everything over the side of the rubber dinghy, and they've come in. But luckily, they were caught. But how many others are slipping through the net?
Yeah.
This is the problem.
Yeah, I have to agree. As I say, I mean, we've mentioned about how do we know what previous history they have, whether they're safe around children, etc., whether the people who go around breaking in to places, how safe is the houses, the people who live there, etc. This is one of the reasons why I actually thought of a way around it, which may satisfy majority of people. There's a lot of disused areas that are now either in private hands or are just lying dormant and nothing's happening to them, of derelict wasteland, or even in some cases derelict former RAF bases. That, again, to me, why can't they be used?
Yeah.
If they're in the middle of nowhere, then you just transfer food in. I mean, and there's no bus service. They can't go anywhere. And if they're going to call the taxi, it's going to cost them a fortune. Doghouse, you're right. Buckingham Palace isn't being used at the moment.
Apparently, they're laying a bus on or something, transport on for them.
Yeah, but the locals don't get it, and it's not free.
No, exactly.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean,
when I say it's not free, it's costing somebody.
UK Transparency made a very good point, and that point is this. This is what I mean. They can say their name is anything. Then as soon as they disappear into public, change their name again, break the law, change their name, and move. No way to track. Very, very good point. Very good point, that is, because that's exactly what some would do. Exactly. And again, there is going to be a bus put on for them and everything else. Places like Scampton, the guys, the 53 blokes that died doing the dam buster raid, and everybody else that flew from there and died would turn in their graves knowing, if they knew what was happening to that place, the history and the heritage there should not be walked all over. It's just unfair.
For our American friends who with us today, I want you to think about this. Back in the Second World War, when the Americans arrived, they came over, the soldiers and the airmen, women, or some of them anyway, they came over here. They had their own airfields. They rented areas. They could be on the list. Now, the issue I've got is we fought alongside the Americans. Doesn't matter when they came in, we did. They were our allies. We fought alongside them. It's like pissing on that. Well, the thing is, we would be pissing on that relationship and their lives that they gave for to end the Second World War. Right. So for every airman, every soldier that died in the Second World War, this government is saying, "Well, that meant nothing. We've moved on from there. You know, we're now doing something else wrong." You know, I'm not a loyalist, as people will know. I'm not patriotic or anything like that. But I know when something isn't right.
Yeah. And
I'll stand up for the right for people to talk about this openly. We've got terms of service, unfortunately, so we can't talk the way we would normally be able to discuss this. We've got to be very, very careful. You know.
What about the city centres where it's just empty shops? Why don't they knock them through? They've done it for certain ones, you know, where it's a communal.
Because, well, a lot of people have this viewpoint that property is more important than life, and that's the reasoning why. Can you imagine, you know, a couple of thousand people staying in, for argument's sake, a shopping mall or area, whatever you want to call it, right? Yeah. And all these people go in there. The surrounding area would probably be trashed. No one would go out clubbing, etc., because they would be too frightened of what could happen to them. Now, it all comes back to what we should do. You with me? Yeah, Blackwatch, you're right. Same with the First World War, but the First World War was to end all wars. That didn't go well, did it?
Can I just add to something to what you said, Grim? I 1,000,000% agree with you about the soldiers, from the Navy to the Army to the Air Force, as well as people like civilians and down to the land guilds and everyone else that died. They'll be turning in the grave. This is just stomping all over them, and they don't deserve that.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, I'm not one. I don't look people. I used to be very, very political. I'm not anymore. But this, when I heard about it, I couldn't believe it, and I said I'd do something about it. And the only way I can think of reaching people is by doing something on here for the time being. Yeah, I can put stuff on the website and I can write about it. Yeah, that's fine. It'll stay there, right? And no one will force me to take it down, even if they get a court order. I still wouldn't take it down, right? They would have to take it down, not me, right? But the thing is, I'm a firm believer in the right of free speech. Whether you agree or disagree, this is a very emotive subject, and I do expect people to be passionate. And also, I ask that you're respectful to as far as practical. But I don't want any name calling anywhere, that's for certain. I'm still yet to understand how, as a country, we got into this situation, how we allowed it, and how we're going to deal with it, because I don't think they've come up with the perfect answer.
Well, your problem is, let's get down to brass tacks here, Grim. Yeah, and everybody else. come on, let's tell the truth here. At the end of the day, the British people, they'll sit in their armchair saying that's not right. We'll fill out a petition and everything, but yet they won't get off their arses. The vast majority, they won't get off their arses and they won't do anything about it. They'll just sit there and let it happen. That's the truth. That's the brass fact of it.
I agree, and it's through 40 years of people doing that. That is the downside.
Sorry, I am passionate about this.
No. I appreciate that, and as I say, I agree totally. You know, but the more people that get to see this, the better.
Yeah.
And I would also ask our American friends to raise it in amongst you when you're chatting with other people as well, over in the States or anywhere. Highlight it. The more people who know about it, the better. Even if you turn around to them and say, go and do your own research. This, you know, and I think, is it Lancashire Life? I could be wrong. Lancashire Life. Nick, you'll know the websites. They're doing stories on it. Thank you. Lancashire Live. They've got loads of information, etc. You know, UK transparency. You're right. We've allowed ourselves to live in a dictatorship, and we voted them in. Called government. But I'm passionate about it from a point of view. So I don't like people's memories. People who served, protected the country when they needed for the country to turn around and say, do you know what? Thanks for for what you did for us then, but now we need X, Y, and Z. And I'm sorry, not from the point of view of trampling all over what they did. No, not on. But what do we do with them? Thank you, Nicholas, for putting that in the chat. There's the link, folks. It tells you all about it. What is the solution? They're looking at potentially down Devon Way, Torquay, Cornwall, that area of using decommissioned cruise ships to put, migrants on and everything else. You know, this is, again, what's the point? The amount it's going to cost. But what do we do? You know, what's that you've put in there, DeWitt? The country has bigger problems, but that's exactly why the Tories like this dead cat, more distraction. Yeah, it is. However, it's something that the people can get behind, and hopefully that'll help make them, the government, when I say the government, it doesn't matter who's in party, but the government think about things. But yeah, you are right. It is a form of division. But we've allowed it. But anyway, that's about all I need to say on the subject. From my point of view, it is really open to everybody else. If somebody wants to come up on here and join us on the panel, put your viewpoints across, as I say, respectfully, please do so. More than happy. Just let me know and I'll see if I can sort it out.
So does that mean I could get started then?
Started on what, sir?
Or have I said too much already?
No, you've done it very well, Nicholas. You've done like hard talk to your throat. You've done well.
The difficulty with it all is we don't know what the solution is. It's a difficult one. It really is. The fact is that a vast majority of this country just don't want them here. It's that simple. But they're here, and we've got to do something about it. What we do is the problem. But again, like I say, I will reiterate this. the vast majority of the people in this country will sit in their armchairs and let it happen. Oh, I disagree with that. Let's just fill out this petition. That's all I have to do, and everything else like that. They will not get off their backsides, and they will not protest. They will not show the government that we're not putting up with this anymore. You know, you've made a mess of this country as it is. You know, they'll just not do it. They'll just let it all happen because
you had a valid point to me.
Sorry.
When you said about if there was going to send them back to the country of origin, would the country accept them because they've got no paperwork?
That's very true. Yeah, I did read something on on a post, and it said that what's happened. Another thing that's happening is when these people come over, they chuck, as we all know, their ID and everything overboard. So when they get here, there's obviously some being deported back. But the problem is the country they come from are saying, sorry, they're not from this country. You know, we don't know anything about them or anything else like that. So we're stuck with them, you know, because their own countries won't have them back. So, I mean, again, what's the answer? I don't know. It's ridiculous. But my main concern, and I will state this quite clearly, my main concern is the former RAF Scampton, you know, and my concern is other RAF places as well, but mainly Scampton. You know, it just can't be allowed. It just can't be allowed. I will be protesting, and I'll be stood on the front line with everybody else that has got the guts to get up and protest. I'll tell you that now. Anyway, everybody having a nice evening, I take it?
We were. No, we are. Well, I am anyway. As I say, we're sending the links out slightly differently. We're not posting it today because you just don't know who's coming in. We've had a lot of Karens recently, so we really don't want any more causing us problems. So it just means, I've got you there. No worries. Right, local. Hello.
Hello, local.
Hello. Here
we go.
How are you today, sir?
Good. So
good.
You after finishing, you summed it all up. You said, and then the last thing you said was, Grim, you have to blame yourselves. So you ranted and raved for 40 minutes, and you come to the decision that you got to blame yourselves.
Well, when you say I'm trying to figure out what I actually said, I wasn't ranting and raving. I was putting a viewpoint across. I don't rant and rave.
Yeah. So what is the next course of action now?
That's why I've offered a number of different suggestions. Unfortunately, they all involve money.
Yeah.
Money as a country, we don't really have.
Well, if you're talking about millions and billions, obviously, you're going to need a whole amount of people. But if you're only talking about thousands, maybe millions, that's achievable with like 500 people.
Yeah, but at the moment, the government is sticking them in hotels. It's killing the tourist industry because people who want to go on holiday in areas, they can't go on holiday because all the places are taken by refugees, and the owners of the hotels don't want this lucrative deal to disappear. My suggestion is we have to accept they're here. We can't, so stick them in the field.
A theory just popped up into my head.
Go on.
So, are they the government's doing these 15-minute cities so that they can house the immigrants in the places, you know, in the countrysides and the hotels.
Well, I think they're moving them out potentially into areas where it's cheaper for them to house them, but not willing to put any restrictions of movement in place.
Jen said to me that when I was waffling away in the chat, and I said, I don't mind looking after these illegals in my house as long as I can use a firearm. And she goes, but they're going to blow themselves up. Do you want that? Obviously, there has to be some sort of procedure first. They're not just going to come over with the boats and I'm going to take them there and then. They're going to go through a process and then come to, they're not going to come packed full of bombs.
No, actually, well, I'm not narrowing it down to people coming over seeking asylum and coming over in boats. I'm talking whether it be the illegal way they're coming over or the legal way. I'm putting them into one pot. It's happening as a country stroke government. The doors are being kept open for them, and yeah, all right, they've got this law coming into place, which means it can be backdated, which means that they can be transferred off to Rwanda, and all's right with the world.
Look, everyone's
I don't think so.
Everyone's waffling on about this. No one has the right answer. This is why it's a problem.
Yeah, well, see, as much as, yeah, I mean, this is the idea, is to try and get some sort of ideas. You know, at least we can talk about it. I suppose you can write to your MP and put a stamp there, you know, wherever, you know, wherever rocks your boat, I suppose. But I don't know what the answer is, basically. I'm not ranting about it. It's a serious subject. It's something I don't normally do, and it'll be a long time till I do another one, probably. But
I had a few ideas. The new chip implant into your brain. We can stick them, a load of them into their brains, and then just track them like that, you know? If they do something wrong or are about to do something wrong, you press the button and it deactivates them. Hello?
you know, I had to mute. Sorry. I can think of 1,000 reasons why that wouldn't happen.
But that is a solution.
It is a solution. But at the same time, you can do that with.
No one's coming up with any.
Well, hang on. Let's take it one step further, right? Why not release some of the prisoners which are actually held for bogusly for silly crimes? Put them out on tag, whatever. Put them back out into the community, and then house people there. They can't get out once they're in.
When they're in this country, you have to remember, Grim, when they're in this country, they're going to have to follow our rules.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah. So the process that we go through, they're going to go through as well.
Yeah. So if they break the law and they get caught by the police, they get charged. At that point, they'll have their DNA taken, which means that it will be on some sort of database. So they'll be able to bring legislation in so that can be shared with various agencies throughout the UK, etc. I suppose that will help. However,
my chip idea is you won't
holds water.
About all of this. You won't have to worry about all of this. You'll just go in, everything's in there, You know, your passport, your identity, everything's in there, in that chip in your brain.
Very true, UK transparency. That's a very good point to make.
I would also say that, yeah, all right. I can think of various. I'm talking about human rights. You couldn't really do that, but I would say that certainly the ones where, I mean, who comes without documentation should be returned immediately, returned to sender. It's not always possible, but it would be nice if that could happen, or at least they should be held.
So you agree with
To
that?
me, that's reason there's reason to be for them to be held. Do I agree with your idea? Or
Oh, what did the UK transparency? I'm not reading the chat. Sorry.
UK transparency made the and how do you enforce laws on people you can't identify or track? That's a very good point to make.
Well, then they got no idea. Can't you just make up an identity and say, right, from now on, you're John Smith, and from now on, well, you're John Smith. Your name is John Smith. You have to open everything with the name John Smith and the national insurance number they give you and the passport they give you or whatever documents they give you. It'll be with John, and then that chip with all the identity of John Smith will be implanted in your brain.
yeah. Yeah, just trying to go back to what Mystical has said. I keep getting confused with Gripper for some reason, but hey, I understand what people go through in other countries. And the issue, they're fleeing from a country because they're being treated humanely, and they're coming to an area where we'd roll out the red carpet all the time. And when I say that, they get special access to healthcare that people who pay their taxes don't get in the same way. But
eventually,
I mean, I just think that it's becoming more and more of a problem. That's all. And
Grim,
I don't think people talk about it.
No,
Yeah.
Grim, eventually they'll be on the system and then they'll be a taxpayer. It's just they have to go through the process. There's a process and they have to go through it, whatever time it takes.
I totally agree. If they okay, let's split it into two ways then. All right. You've got the illegal ones that pay a fortune to come over, and you've got the legal ones that come through the airports and the ferries, etc., and on ships, right, and the ports. They get there's a way that they are dealt with, and they are all catalogued, if you like. They know exactly where they're going, maybe not where they're ending up, but where they're going, and they know who they are because the documentation links to that person. Where you've got people who are coming over illegally into the country, I believe that the issue there is that they're the people who it's going to take a lot longer before they start paying into the system, if they ever do. Even better.
Hold on, with this, you got the system now. So there's been many boats coming over for all these years. They've been coming over, and so the ones that are getting approved now, they are going to be rolling around in the tax system, and they're going to be contributing back to society.
Your problem also is if you give a lot of these people NI numbers and they're not willing to work or anything, they're automatically with an NI number allowed to have free NHS, free benefits and everything else. And this is what I believe a lot of them are coming over for.
Okay, but that's our system. You have to, well, you don't want them having this and you don't want them having that. Well,
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm trying to say is we need to find somewhere to house them. What they take out the system is a separate situation.
well,
My concern is,
this country doesn't have the facilities for these people. So
Exactly.
this ain't a cruel country. This ain't a third world country where we're gonna say, right, you can sleep in a tent over there. We'll house them.
no, I
right?
agree. I wasn't referring to sense. Yeah,
But there
I was
again,
talking
look,
about.
by seeing that, if I needed to escape here, I'd be willing to live in a tent, to be honest.
I was being sarcastic regarding putting them in a tent. Obviously, we're a little bit more civilized than that, I would hope, anyway. But yeah, I mean, sorry, Mr. Skull. Yeah, I misread it.
One agrees. Sorry,
What Mr. Skull's pointing out is, what Mr. Skull's saying is that her friend or his friend is has been here for 20 years. So it took 5 years signing at the Home Office every day, to get to a stage where they would get citizenship, etc.
That's what I said.
Yeah, the rules are very stringent.
They're able to become taxpayers.
The issue for me isn't that they're not paying in or they're not likely to pay in. We, as a country now, are
how can you say that?
Paying out
because they're going to be working they're going to be filling shelves in Tesco's or Sainsbury's. How are they going to be avoiding paying tax working there?
Well, I didn't say that.
Well, you said they're going to be
avoiding. No. What I said was, if they avoid or whatever, they could claim and not work. At the end of the day, it makes no difference to me, right? What my concern is at this present moment in time, as a country, we are spending billions of pounds putting a lot of money into private hands, a minimum of £150 per person per night. All right, and the people who are taking all this money are not investing that money back into the system because that's sheer profit to them, and they're doing it from a business perspective. The idea of moving people to larger areas where there are better facilities and cheaper facilities, shall we say, right, makes perfect sense. My concern is, because we don't know the history of these individuals, it's a massive risk to put them in a built-up area.
Well, hold on. You're talking about money now, and you're talking about they can avoid paying tax and all of that stuff. And it's all down to money.
Well, that's what it's all about.
This is a small scale compared to, like, let's say Jeff Bezos with Amazon. He's making billions every day. He's not paying any tax. That's more tax money to worry about that he's thieving than immigrants or illegal immigrants paying their tax.
Yeah, but you're splitting it down to individuals now. I'm not referring to individuals. I'm talking about as a collective. All right. Maybe it's not coming across correctly. Right. People can claim benefits regardless. That's immaterial. I'm not talking about that cost. Right. That cost is taken care of as a result of taxes that everybody pays, including people who are on benefits. They still pay taxes because they pay fuel tax, they pay VAT tax, etc. So they're still paying into that pot.
Yeah.
Right? I have no issues with that. What I'm getting at is the amount of money that is being wasted at this present moment in time, when there are people who are homeless, there's veterans who have no homes. We have a really poor national health service compared to what it used to be, which is slowly being privatized because private companies are winning bids, etc., to put services on because the National Health Service can't afford to. Doesn't really make much sense to me from that point of view. Why not cut down the costs? The question is, where are we going to house or have these people stay?
What are you like in the whole immigration thing, not just housing and everything like that, but with it all, are you more concerned about those coming in with an identity or without an identity?
Makes no difference to me so long as they're treated fairly, but at a cost which isn't so great to us, because in the hotels there is a mixture. So once they get into the system, they're in the system. The law changes, but the law changes very slowly. It takes a long time for the government to realise, oh, we've got a problem here, unless it means, oh, we can shut everybody down. Or is it going to save us facing the climate convention next year if we do X, Y, or Z? Now, from my perspective, this is costing us as a country, as taxpayers, an absolute fortune. Now, why is it costing so much?
DeWitt put in the chat earlier the numbers. It costs each person 10p a day or something like that. That ain't much. In the long term,
I'd rather give 10p a day to go into the National Health Service, so that we can have qualified nurses and doctors, and we don't have as much of a waiting list for people who need surgery, etc.
I'd rather give that 10p a day to our homeless, and especially to our veterans.
Yeah, it's something which has been forced onto us. We don't have a choice. The government makes a decision and tells us what we're going to do, and we say, how high do you want us to jump? We don't question it. We haven't done for the last 40, 50 years.
What's the bigger problem? Grandad, what's the bigger problem? Is the immigration a bigger problem, or is the what did you say, the veterans?
Well,
the veterans.
I'd say the veterans, because they're from this country anyway, so they're entitled.
Well, not necessarily.
Well, you get what? Yeah, I know what you mean. The Americans and everyone else, but the ones what are in our country, they need the help. They need the support by the mental health teams and everything else.
Grandad, I've been to a lot of protests in London, and they're veterans of this country protesting outside Downing Street, doing hunger strikes, 40-day hunger strikes, so and so. And they're protesting outside because they were promised to get what English veterans get.
Yeah, you're on about the Gurkhas, wasn't it? I remember your thing.
The Gurkhas,
And I agree the Gurkhas should be looked after.
Yeah, I do as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do as well. Yeah, I remember that.
What are veterans?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The British went to them and said, fight for us.
Yeah, there's a question.
What?
What about the fortune it's costing us taxpayers for a concocted war? A war that's nothing to do with us. Cheeky sprite.
Well, that's a different matter. We're talking about this matter.
See, the matter I'm saying is that when it comes to the veterans, yeah, there's a lot of veterans that fought for this country and have just been, excuse my language, they've been shit on by this government, yeah?
Yeah.
And they're on the streets, and I believe that they should be looked after before any asylum seeker, migrant and everything. They should be looked after because they fought for this country, you know, a lot of them, and it's unfair that they've ended up in the positions that they have.
Yeah. Well, look what JD said. Exactly.
See, this is the problem with people. You guys are waiting for the government to do something, or the government to change their ways and not house them the way you want them to be housed. Instead of taking action yourselves.
I know what you're saying, local, but I'll say this like in a cryptic message, but you'll know what I'm talking about. Do you remember the YouTuber that on November the 5th, and it was just left out high and dry when there was supposed to be so many people attending and nobody hardly went? Do you remember? I know you know him.
Fat fella.
Well, Bill, yeah.
Is he a fat fella? Yes or no?
I can't see him fat. I'm fat.
No, I'm talking about the guy that you're on about.
Yeah, he's got a bit of weight on him. Yeah.
Does he wear glasses?
Not to my knowledge, but you know him. I know you know him.
What was he there at the 5th of November protest?
Yes.
Was you there?
No, because I was at that time. I was financially, I couldn't do it. I would now.
Was anyone else on the panel there? Anyway, Grim,
sorry, sorry. No, I've got issues with the computer at the moment. I'm just trying to sort it out. So please continue. Other people can hear you. I just can't at the moment.
The thing is, yeah.
Go on. You were saying something.
Yeah. The thing is,
understand your crypto message. Put it in the back chat. No one will know then.
All right.
Yes.
But you know, this is what I'm saying. You said something that I said earlier, local. You've just reiterated saying that a lot of the people here in this country won't fight for it, and you're right. This is what I said earlier. They'll sit in their armchairs, say everything they want to say from their armchairs, but they haven't got the balls to get off their arses and protest and say what they want, you know, to try and stop this. They'd rather sit in their armchairs than that. It's wrong. And that is the problem with a lot of people in this country. They'll just give it all out.
I'll tell you something, Grandad. Nobody, I'm not going to mention the person, nobody was next to this person egging him on and telling him, when are we going to get the torches ready? When are we going to get this ready? When are we going to pull the gates down, you know? Have we got the rope ready, you know? Yeah.
I mean, he's a good guy. I like him. But this what we're talking about, it's a very difficult thing to how can I put, organise, isn't it? Because straight away you dealt the racist card or something like that, don't you think?
I think the problem is that because it's so emotive.
I'll be back in a second, sorry.
Yeah, no problem. I think because this is such an emotive subject, I think, and also we have to tread on eggshells, unfortunately. It is very difficult to talk about it without offending somebody. Or they accuse somebody of being racist when in fact they're not really racist. They're just trying to put across a point.
No, I'm not racist. I said I'll have one in my house.
Yeah,
no, Scott, no, I wouldn't refer. I'm talking in general terms, right? Just because somebody agrees or disagrees does not make them either racist or otherwise, in my opinion, right? I think if you've got a viewpoint on it, you need to be able to explain what your viewpoint is and the reasoning why. That's all. And my viewpoint, as I've explained, is more to do with the fact that people are too quick to come up with an argument against, but with nothing to back it up. And what we have been able to do is to back up what we're saying, and to try and put another viewpoint on things. That's all, to try and come up with the answer. If there is, in fact, an answer, because we're not the government, and I honestly don't believe that the government is going to listen to this. I'm under no, I'm not being disillusioned in any way with that. The way I see it is that the only way that we may be able to do something about this is if we've banded together and actually made our voices being heard. But whether or not we can do is another thing entirely, because we end up with lots of what's the word I'm thinking? We end up not accomplishing anything, and I didn't think that we would accomplish anything tonight. I was more about raising it. That's all.
Yeah, just discussing it. Yeah, seeing what
people
thought.
Awareness. Yeah, awareness.
Yeah,
awareness is not enough, though.
Awareness is a start.
I haven't got enough confidence that you're going to lead this way, Grim.
Well, I'm being realistic. I'm not saying that it's going to happen. It's something. It's a start, if nothing else.
But there hasn't been no encouragement today.
You've not been encouraged to do anything, but you come up onto here, or have I misunderstood that?
No, I said there was no encouragement today, to do anything. It was just what is happening.
Well, I'm trying to say what I'm saying is by discussing it, that it hopefully, and as I say, I've reached out to the Americans who were in and around the chat earlier, and to raise awareness for starters. That's where it starts from. I'm not talking about the far left or the far right getting involved or anything like that. Just a little bit of common sense.
I'm not a lefty or righty. I don't even know what that means, lefty or righty. But...
I'm talking about political opinions.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Okay, then you want encouragement. All right, I'll give a bit of encouragement for everybody, shall I? Come and stand with me at RAF Scampton on the gate and protest there to stop them from coming into there. There's some encouragement for anybody.
I'll bring a megaphone if you want.
Fantastic, mate. I'll be there with you 100%. I can promise you that.
Yeah.
How many others will turn up?
Exactly. How many others will turn up? If there's only 2 of us, there's no point.
Oh, I could get more, but trust me.
Yeah,
we can't take on 30 people, just 2 of us. They'll kill us where we stand.
No, I agree, but at the same time, it is the more people who are aware of the situation, more people who are willing. If there are people out there, I'm not talking about in our community. There's loads of different communities, right, within YouTube, right? And I was been talking to both Grandad and to Nick about this for the last few days, and I said I would do this, if nothing else, to raise awareness. I mean, when was the last time I did anything dead serious on here? You do need people who are able to get there, but not everybody is able to get there. But then again, I don't know when it's going to happen.
It's a very emotive subject. I know that. Absolutely. And a lot of people have different opinions. Absolutely. And so they should. I mean, we can't all have the same opinions, but those that have the same opinion as myself or a lot of other people, if you want to do something about it, then at the end of the day, for the love of God, get up and do something about it. Get onto those protest lines, stand at the gates and say, no, we're not putting up with this anymore. We shouldn't have to. I mean, that's what I can
say. This is what I want to hear, man. But no one's saying it. One voice isn't enough in this day and age.
Well, for RAF Scampton, what people are not aware of is that myself and Wolf Lover have bought a wreath for the veterans, and we are going to lay that at Scampton within the next couple of weeks. Good. Yeah, and there's going to be quite a few others there. Now, the other thing is, when we talk about the security that they've got on there now, and it'll be the same security on the other places that they've named, what would the words they used? Oh, there you go. Specialist security units with CCTV. And all you get is G4S with a bloody body cam. That's it.
Wow.
Specialist. Yeah.
But are you going to go out with your live streams that there as well, then extra security?
Well, they're going to need it. I am passionate about this, and I'm not going to apologize for that. I'm very passionate about it. It's not that I've got anything against the individuals themselves. I haven't. No,
Graham.
There's only so much that a country can do, and only so many of these people they can take. And I think we're taking far too many than what we can, house or whatever.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, I agree as well. Well, yes and no. Grim, if you can waste your time doing troll websites, you can waste your time doing a website about this topic.
Well, you only know part of it. You weren't here at the beginning.
No.
I'd already covered that one off. And as for what I do on the website, that's neither here nor there. There's reasons behind everything.
Forget about what your intentions of doing it. Forget about that. But if you got time to do that, you've got time to do this.
It's a question of what's important at the time and whether something would wait until for a little bit longer. This is a conversation that I've only had this week about this, which is what I stated.
But how long has it been a problem for you?
Well, I've only heard about the fact that they're moving people to our ex-RAF bases this week.
Oh no, but immigration as a whole, how long has it been a problem for you?
Immigration as a whole is not a problem for me.
Oh, it's not a problem. It's just what then? The housing.
It's the housing of the people at this present moment in time, and the cost involved.
Well,
and there's lots of people who've raised this in the past, and that our wonderful government are going to carry on doing this regardless. And whoever gets in next year is going to continue with it down the same route.
Yeah. Again, the cost. It's a fraction of what we're spending on other things.
The money which is being spent on this could go far better, could be diverted to far better resources that we actually need.
No, we've got
Right.
the resources there. It's just the people in control have no idea how to use it.
Well, let's agree to disagree on that, because that opens up a totally different kind of worms.
Yes, I do understand.
But my concern at this moment, and the reason why I put this on tonight to talk about is basically to find out what people's thoughts were. And as I said earlier, yeah, I'm going to do something about this. I'm going to publicise it. I've already spoken to Nick about it. It's something we're going to work on together with a little bit of luck. It's not the same as putting together just an ordinary blog page, right, about something. This is a little bit more serious than Karen's amongst communities. That's a piss take. This is serious, right? Really serious, because there's other aspects to it as well, which includes alternatives. I've come up with a few alternatives, right? And other people have said, "Oh, I thought we were going to be putting them on boats and etc." Well, there's a few comments I would like to say about that, but I can't here because of terms of service. But
that comment that you had up, can you put it back up, please?
Yeah, we'll sort that for you shortly. I'm not sure which comment it was.
The 1/3. It had 1/3 in it.
1/3. Oh sentence. Yeah, got it. Yeah.
Ghost Eagle.
Ghost Eagle.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, mate. Sorry, didn't see you coming there.
He goes, if we went to their country and tried to pull at least 1/3 of what they pull, we will get shot or put in prison. Well, that is their way of living, you know. Our way of living is we've got a law system, you know. We've got a system.
Regardless of what we think of the system, we've got a system.
Yeah.
Well, if you could call it that.
Well, we do have a system. It's called let's throw money at anything and everything, money we haven't got. But we'll print some more, it's fine. And then the cost of living will continue to rise as a result, because inflation will go through the roof. But don't worry, we've got an idea. We'll introduce something else later on. You know, or am I just being... I'm not blaming immigration on that. I'm talking about things in general.
Let's just walk all over the British people.
Yeah, my concern is that this proposal is that they're walking over people who have served the country in the past and died for the country, because they believed in their mind that being a patriot was the most important thing.
Exactly.
Grim. I've met a lot of patriots at these protests and these freedom protests, and all the protests that happen against government, when nothing ever happens. Like with the I was too young to go, but I heard but the war in Iraq, 3 million, 4 million, 5 million people turned up in London, and that didn't even do anything.
I didn't say that it did, and it wouldn't. I could go back. I could go back 30s of that, but that's beside the point. We have fallen for governments after governments after governments who have got into this way of thinking that whatever they say is right, and they won't listen to the people who put them in there. Right? All I'm trying to say is by discussing one of the situations to try and get support for change, that is the way we should be looking at it, in my opinion. And the idea of doing this is to, although you disagree, raise awareness. It's probably just as effective as any demonstration in the last 40 years. basically it's like throwing a £2 bag of sugar at the EU sugar mountain. But you never know. If everyone goes on about the mainstream press is having their own agenda, I agree totally. However, it's the mainstream press, if they actually come out and start questioning the way that they used to many years ago, before the government got their claws into it and stopped journalists from printing things, then maybe, just maybe, there might be a tide against them, against the government.
But the thing is, Grim, they just get the license revoked. This is the whole thing. They've got them.
Whose license? Which license? Sorry.
Like, basically, let's say, I don't know, all the news channels there is, things like that. That's you know what I'm saying.
You're talking about the government turning around and making it illegal to speak your mind or have freedom of expression. But we've given into that, but we can just... I think the problem is, yes, it is a very emotive subject. It's a very passionate subject. I don't say I have got any answers at all.
No, I don't think anybody has. You'd be a millionaire if you had the answer.
And I'm not suggesting that we're going to have any answers. However, if one person told another person, they told another person, and it became open and an open discussion instead of something which is being pushed to one side, right, all the time, then maybe there's a chance that the populace of the, whichever country, I mean, I'm talking about the UK, but it can happen in America, right, in the same way as it can happen here, right? Unless you take back the control that's been taken away from you, you can't change anything.
Yeah.
And the only way you're going to do that is by talking about things openly and honestly.
But it's like I said, what card did get thrown straight away? It is an hard topic.
Yeah. Well, I can't say what I would love to be able to say and express myself in the way I would like to express myself on YouTube because of terms of service. It's exactly the same as what the government are doing. This is what YouTube is doing. It's exactly the same. The stifling freedom of speech and expression. I'm not saying that I would say anything which would be too controversial. However, there's so many different ideas, and the way that they're doing it, the government, they're actually throwing it at councils, and they say, it's your problem, it's not our problem. We've opened the door already. We've shut in the door, and from such and such a date, we'll be able to do something regarding people who've come across illegally. Right, that's solved that problem. But you still got all the ones that were here beforehand. They are now legitimate refugees. The same as anybody who's coming through an airport or a port or anything, right? And it is... Here. Yeah?
I was born here, but I'm not English. I'm British.
Yeah, you're British, by definition.
But I'm a Londoner, but my parents weren't born in this country.
That's irrelevant. I'm not talking about repatriation by generations or whatever. I'm not talking about that. A couple of people said, why can't we turn them back and send them back to the country of origin? It's not feasible because there is a denial. There's also the human rights charter throughout Europe, right, which we have to abide by. So we can't throw them into camps and treat them as prisoners, but we can protect local communities. We can do proper risk assessments, and the idea of a risk assessment, for those who aren't too sure, it is about looking at something and reducing the risk and how you can reduce the risk and putting those ideas, if you like, back into fruition. So if you are going to be putting refugees into high population areas, and you're putting 2,000 of them in a time, etc., you need to look at all of the risks and how do you limit those risks. Okay, that may mean that you have to put in bigger fences so they can't be climbed. It may mean that you've got to have properly trained guards, and I'm not talking about G4S or any other private company who've stolen the contract one way or another. Put it in the hands of the military. Let the military deal with them. They're on military bases or ex-military bases.
Yeah.
If that's the way we have to go, then we need to reduce the risk to the local population.
Well, it's not reducing the risk, is it? Because they're not being locked in. They can they're free to wander where they want. This is the point.
But but where else are we going to put them? I'm not talking about Scampton here. I'm talking in general terms.
So am I.
So, which is the reason why, as an alternative, there was a bit of seriousness behind using farmers' fields. You can build prefabricated buildings within a week.
Yeah,
that should be more than enough to house. Farmers are crying out for work because they can't produce what needs to be done because we have so many new rules in place, etc. Agriculture is going down the drain. Dairy farming is going down the drain as a result of cheap imports, etc. Right?
Oh, that. Fun.
So, to me, use that land. It's 9 times out of 10, it's in the middle of nowhere. It's out in the countryside. That's one way of reducing the risk to the population in the area.
Well, your problem there is you need some kind of infrastructure in there for them, don't you?
Yeah, but prefabricated buildings don't take long to put up. And that will generate work as well, because there isn't anything there. You can put prefabricated buildings in, you can put concrete foundations in, etc. You just make sure that obviously you don't put them in an area where it's likely to be a bog, for instance, or where there's a high amount of rainfall that's likely to cause a problem that might set off an alert on your phone. But this is, to me, that's a practical way of dealing with the risk factor. There is a risk. You have to minimize that risk. And I don't think the risk is being minimized by putting them into areas like Scampton or anywhere else where there's a high populace. That's all I'm saying. Minimize the risk. Move them somewhere else. We've got no choice. They're here. We can't stop people from coming in the legal route. The government are, as always, reactive. Brought in new legislation, which means that from a certain date, anyone comes through, they're going to be dealt with, they're going to be stopped, etc. You've still got the same problem. Where are you going to house them?
Yeah, exactly.
But they come in illegally, then they're breaking the law. We've got prisons. We've got places where we can put them in the secure area, quite legitimately and quite legally, without any issues, not breaking any human rights or anything. And that will reduce the influx. If it's as high as everybody says it is, I don't know whether it is or it isn't. There, if you want to come up, we can arrange to get the link to you. That's not a problem. Just let us know. But if anybody wants to come up and have a say, that's fine. We just need to be able to send you a link. If that means befriending you on Discord, we can do that. That's not a problem. I just don't want the link going out as we normally do and have it pinned at the moment.
All right, guys. Grim, Nick, and Grandad. Nice chatting to you guys.
It's always a pleasure. Thank you
Yeah.
for coming up.
You
Appreciate
take
it.
care, local.
And as I
Yeah.
say, we'll agree to disagree. We could go on for hours, you and I, local, and talk about things like this.
Yeah. There's
But,
we're always going to be mates, so don't worry if we
oh,
agree or
yeah.
disagree or whatever, you know.
Yeah, well, that's why I say we
We
agree to
debate.
disagree. We're adults about it.
Yeah.
I mean, me and Grim do. We sometimes disagree, but you just let it go. We'll let it go between us. That's it. We've got to carry on.
Okay, well,
All right,
cheers,
well.
local. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And thanks for
See you,
chipping in.
local.
All
See you,
right, cheers,
local.
guys. See you again
Cheers
soon.
now. And
Bye,
cheers,
people.
mate. Bye. I do like local.
Yeah, he's a good lad.
So, folks, anybody would like to come up and say anything? It's not a problem.
You see,
I think Bear might come up.
yeah. You see, like what JD's put there, that's always been my thing. If I would not leave my wife or girlfriend or companion or whatever you want to call in this PC
Middle Earth.
world we're in,
Yep.
I'd take them with me.
Yeah. As I say, it's all about minimizing the risk, but why should it be down to the household to minimize the risk? You with me? We have to make sure everything's locked or house alarms are on or whatever else we put in. You with me?
Yeah.
We have to do that on a nightly basis anyway. That's just to make sure that we can conform to our insurance. Again, conforming.
Yeah.
But I don't think that we should be put in that position. I don't think it's fair for any individual or any families to be put in that position. I'm just looking at how we can deal with the situation and look at different ideas potentially. There's no point in turning around and saying, don't want them over here, etc.
Yeah.
Well, the fact is, they're here, right?
Yeah.
For starters, the government, as I say, the government are so reactionary, it's unbelievable, I suppose, but same with any government. Bear, we may be finished because I'm not going on beyond 2 hours, but just letting you know. My issue here is with the government and what they're doing. Yeah, all right, from the 12th of April or whatever that date is, I can't remember off the top of my head, as I say. The law is being backdated. It's the first time I've known that to happen. The law's being backdated, and anyone who's come in illegally from that date will be treated whatever that legislation says. You know, I'll sort the link out for you. I'll send it over to Telegram. My concern, as I say, is purely for me. It's costing us as a country millions of pounds a week, so some reports say. I can see how to get to that figure. I do think that we need to do something which will reduce that figure. So, but what that answer is, I don't know. I mean, when I say stick them out into a field, I don't mean that literally.
No,
you know,
I know that.
But I also think that we need to make sure that people are kept safe. Communities are kept safe. Yeah, and we breach whatever divisions there are. And it, cheeky. I've sent the link for you, Mellows, in Telegram. Cheeky. I respect what you're saying, and it's not all these people. It's some. In the same way as not all of them are terrorists. Some are.
Well, it's like not every one of us is a burglar. You know, these decent
No, but
you know,
no,
there's
but I mean,
people.
but look, we are all personas on this grand stage of YouTube, right?
Yeah,
Nobody really knows us unless you've met up a few times, etc. Right?
yes, yeah,
So, but we look at things from a different point of view, I suppose. Really, yeah, they've got something in common with such and such a person. Yeah, I like them because whatever. What I'm trying to get across here is that what I would like people to do is to go out and talk to other people about it. It's not exclusive to the Grim Reaper Network. It's something we all could have a concern about, I would say, some more than others.
yeah,
Oh, so if you're going into somebody else's chat, just have a chat to other people about it and raise awareness for starters. And if you hear something which is going on, there's a protest, etc., drop me an email and I'll put it up on the website. People and ask people to check back. I'll even let you know when it's up and running.
yeah,
You know, and if on information received, I'll update it as soon as possible. But if you can give us a week's notice of something, great. But if not, I'll stick it out on the community page on YouTube. You know, or I'll do a quick update and put a message on there for people to nip over and have a look, or better still, go over to the website and have a look at the website on a more regular basis. I thought it was funny because in the last couple of weeks or so, yes, I have been playing about with certain people. To me, it's been a bit of a joke. Evening Bear. You know, yeah, it's serious, but it isn't that serious. It's not as serious as this. I mean, I'm dealing with Karens on YouTube, you know, whinging about this, that, and the other. Yet when I listen to streams and people start talking about this, we have a lot in common. So leave the bollocks alone and the crap and start asking the questions within your own little communities. How do we stop it? How do we do this, that, and the other? Don't just say, oh, I think it's wrong. Let's come up with something a little bit more constructive and see if we can get that idea passed on to somebody else into another area. You know? And that's how you win. It takes time, but it's got to start somewhere. You know?
yeah, and it started here tonight.
Well, I hope so. But then we got Bear comes across, and I'm not going to take the mickey, mate. It's a serious subject tonight.
Right.
Well, I'll try not to. But now you turned up. No, seriously. Bear, I know you've got some things on this, some thoughts on this subject. I want to remind you of terms of service. Okay? So please be wary of what you say. I don't want this taken down because a Karen reports us to YouTube.
All right. Well, I personally think there should be big, massive machine guns on the cliffs of Dover, pointing out into the sea. And anyone that gets within a certain proximity, man, just take some warning shots at them. Watch them soon turn around and go the other way.
Sounds reasonable.
Hey, guys.
Hello, Mellow.
Remember, we were talking like, oh, what should we do with them? Why should we do anything with them? Why not just send them? I'll tell you what, it would probably be a lot cheaper to send them on luxury cruises back home again.
Yeah, the
Than
problem
what it has
with
done
that,
to keep them.
yeah,
Send
the
them on
problem
luxury cruise back.
Yeah, but the problem with that is that the countries where they fled from won't take them back.
What, the ones where they left their family, their children
Yeah.
and their wives at home? Those
Yeah,
countries.
Yes, because of things like the Geneva Convention, the European Bill of Rights, everything within the Western
Yeah, the
world that we
refugee
hold dear.
convention. As long as
Yeah.
we're a part of that refugee convention, nothing will ever change.
Exactly. Hello, Mr. Gomez, Detective Gomez. Thank you for dropping in. maybe you can sort. No, you won't be able to sort this one out. However, you can discuss it by all means. We're talking about issues within the UK or British immigration system, and the fact that they're planning on using Royal Air Force X bases to house refugees.
I think immigration's the wrong word to use, Grim. It's the wrong terminology, man, because nothing wrong with immigration. All for immigration, all for those that, like I've always said, that this country relies heavily on immigration in some of the most...
all right. I'm talking about refugees. Refugees.
Right, okay.
Right. There's refugees that come through the legal route, those that come through the illegal route.
Do you know how hard it is?
Hang on a sec. Our wonderful government have brought a bill into place which is going to be backdated. Anyone who's been coming illegally from that date will be transported over to Rwanda.
Yeah,
that's our answer. All right. However, in the meantime, they're planning on putting refugees on RAF bases and also potentially ex-US bases that were used in the Second World War by the Americans. I'm concerned about the heritage, the way that we worked as two, or opposing, should we say, we came together as a coalition of governments to fight the neo-Nazis, the Germans, the Italians, etc., in the War of the World Part 2, Second World War. And to me, using those facilities or any military facility, ex-military facility, is like pissing over all of their memories.
Yes.
Yeah, I also think it's a big, massive breach of national security, man.
Yes.
And anyone that says it's not is off their head.
No, I mean, I agree. And we don't know who's coming in or who's not coming in. Now, once once they're here, it's hard to find that. Yeah, I agree. It is hard. You know, hey, the basement higher. NMB, yeah, I saw you earlier. Higher. Darlene, higher. No, seriously. I don't know what the answer is. I don't have an answer to it.
I've got an answer.
Yeah, remember terms of service, Mellows.
I think the first thing you got to do, the very first thing you got to do, is kick out the people who are responsible for creating this mess in the first place. You can't expect the same people who created this mess to get us out of it, because they're just going to make a meal of it. Even if they gave in to your demands and you wanted this, you wanted that, the same people who broke the system can't be expected to fix it. They got to go. If you're going to kick anyone out, you know, Rishi and his pals are the first lot to go.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yep. They can't fix shit. We know that. So what are we waiting for?
I think these people have been lied to anyway, man. It isn't what it said it was on the tin. You know, I've seen that from some of the small few places that I've gone. That they don't seem all that happy. They don't seem like they're living it up, living the life. So,
well, yeah, that's
in their defence, I don't even believe they're being treated fairly or correctly.
No, I agree, and as
they've been treated like livestock, and that's the truth.
Yeah, I mean, well, barely. We just about meet the European Convention of Human Rights. However, what I will say, just on what you said, Mellows, I said this earlier. I am a firm believer that it doesn't matter who you vote for, the government still gets in. So it doesn't matter who you kick out. While the system is the way the system is, it's going to be abused. It's going to be abused by everybody. Give somebody an inch, they will take a mile. Mm-hmm. And those of you who whether you're in the UK, whether you're over in the States, you look back over the last 50 years, right? And you'll see how your democratic society has been overridden by government after government after government and put things into place which are totally wrong. And you're living proof of it, unfortunately. And something which Nick said earlier on, we are no longer a country of shopkeepers. We are a country of armchair sitters.
Yeah.
Because we're too lazy. I was going to say something else then. Too lazy to actually do something. It's been like that since, let me go back, at least since the 70s.
Well, do you think this PC world sort of stuff that they're doing and, you know, politically incorrectness and...
Yeah. The same reason that mainstream media as well manages to push things the way they do, because people are just lazy, man, and it's easier at the end of a long day to just sit and watch 10 minutes of the 6 o'clock news on mainstream media than it is to go away and do a bit of research that might take you a couple of hours to sit there and go through it and, you know, check different sources and things like that. So, yeah, I agree with what Nick said there, 100%.
Yeah.
So, Bear,
The mentality.
will you come and stand at Scampton Gates with me and protest?
Of course.
Well, that's
see
very
you there
cool,
then. We'll see you there, because I'm telling you now, it's happening.
I don't know where Scampton is, and I've shown my ignorance. I'm useless with geography, as you know.
Just
I've got a post.
above Lincoln.
Right, so it's not that far away from where I am. Let me know if I can book the day off. I will go if it's during the week. If it's at a weekend, I'll go on the weekend.
Well, we need more than 3 people there, mate. Trust me.
Yeah. Listen, well, look, it's a while since I've gone and stood my ground. But I'm concerned about what you've said, and what we've discussed. If I wasn't concerned, I wouldn't have held this.
Exactly, mate. No, I agree with you there, and you know that's why I'm glad that you've done this.
I was going to say something earlier to you, Nicholas. This place, this RAF place. This is the person we're talking about a long time ago, isn't it? You show me some pictures and videos. You know, I think the reason why they want to use it possibly could be to legally repurpose the land. They've been trying to sell that for a long time, haven't they?
Well, no, because they've only just closed it. They closed it last year, and it's been just recently, the last 2 weeks, it's gone from the MOD moving out to the Home Office moving in with their super duper security. Yeah, G4S with the body cam. Yeah.
Well,
Anyway.
that's the thing we have missed. It is the Secretary of State, is it? So, Home Secretary, sorry, who's put this together. And gone along to a minister just along, the cabinet. I'm sorry, but every time I think of the cabinet, I'll think of Churchill. But they've gone along to speak to another minister and said, "Yeah, do you know that land you got there? Can I have it?" "Yeah, of course. What do you want it for?" "I'll tell you later." And that's how it's been done. All right, maybe simplified, but it is about political distraction. Because, of course, while we're distracted with all this, which is all very good and very important, the real problem is actually the government. And I just want to make sure that that is very clear. I don't care where you live, the problem's always going to be the government.
Yes.
Tell me I've got a tinfoil hat, right, Grim? But for me, my question is, why they come here? Why are they here?
Why? Because we are the gateway to free treatment, free medical treatment. As soon as you step in this country, You are
I
entitled
believe
to
there's a
freedom.
bigger agenda. As I said
Oh
in your chat.
no! I'm talking about the individuals and their reasoning.
Yeah, men that are fleeing war take their kids and their wives with them. Men that are going to war leave their kids and wives at home.
I have a lot of reservations about the fact that the majority of people coming into the UK are predominantly male between 20 and 50 in ages, right? Whichever way they come in, right? If you actually look at it, and then if you look at the likelihood of them working as a professional, right, is slim. Why? Because what we've done as a country, we allowed all our nurses that got trained to go and work privately, away from the NHS, the same with the doctors and the consultants, right? And we've ruined it. And this is what I'm saying about us. National Health Service was our jewel, the crown of everything. But that's not the case anymore. That's that. Sorry, I missed that, Miss Skull. It's not they're here to take over. Well, we've been taken over as a country many, many times in the past, and unfortunately, I have to agree with what you say. There is a slight caveat on that. I don't know how they're going to overtake us, so to speak, or take over.
Although let's flip it, and there's all these people, that will stand there at these protests and be like, "They're all Nazis," and the UK welcomes immigrants and all this. Okay, fair enough. Let's just flip it and say, "Yeah, brilliant. We'll go with your theory." Can they show me the infrastructure in this country for those people that we're bringing in? In fact, can people show me the infrastructure to hold the population of what we have already in this country, let alone any more people coming in?
Listen, I agree totally. This is one of the problems that I've got with all of this. And when I'm talking about money, I'm talking about the money that I see, this is my personal opinion, wasted that could have been put into the NHS service. All right?
Yeah, everyone, money as well. Money is a big part, but just about, it reduces the availability of things
to everybody else. But that's
to
all
everybody
down to
else. Makes everything more harder to get appointments, everything.
But again,
has a big knock-on effect.
Yeah, but it still comes down to money. Even getting medication, right? For Christ's sake, a couple of years ago, there was a shortage of getting medication for people who needed antidepressants, because the majority of antidepressants, and also thinking about it, people with epilepsy came from Italy, and we couldn't get anything out of Italy. Right? So I understand where we've gone wrong. I don't know how to fix it. And I've had many years sitting there watching the state of both the US and the UK, Northern Ireland, falling into total disrepair because of bad management and people who don't understand risks. And at the end of the day, we are going to pay for it as people, as the populace. We're going to pay through the nose for everything. Believe me, within 10 years, you think that the cost of living's gone up now? I hate to think what it's going to be like in 10 years. Maybe at that point I'll give up. But until such time as I make that decision, I'm going to carry on fighting. In one way or another. What I do, all right, okay, gents, ladies, everybody, children, people of all ages, don't care who you are. I've been taking a piss out of Karens recently. I've got bored. It was a bit of fun. Now to get back, I've had my fun, I've had my rest. Now to get stuck into something, and this is something I'm going to get stuck into over the next couple of weeks. Right? Yeah. I'm going to work with Nick. I'm going to put something up on the website regarding it as quickly as I can, but I want to put factual information up. I don't want to start raising being
When's
known
this
as
protest meant to be taking place?
Which process is that?
The one at this Scampton.
protest.
Oh, the protest. Well, I'm not sure yet. I'm in touch with people that are going to be protesting. So as soon as I find something out, you guys will find out.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
You know, but I've been up there the last 3 Saturdays when they said that there's going to be a protest and nobody's been there. You know, there was. Well, what was it? Yeah, last 3 Saturdays, there's been nothing happening on base whatsoever. I see the changeover from military to civilian security. What good they are, bunch of twats. Well, they are. Simple as
Yeah,
that.
well, no, I was agreeing with you.
And at the end of the day, I saw something again in the press that says that the government are going to get this one. You'll love this. This is brilliant. What they're going to do, they're going to preserve the heritage and everything else like that at Scampton. And by doing this, they're going to be keeping an eye on this stuff. But it's been a bit too late when it's all been burnt down, isn't it? You know, it just gets me going. It really does. But that's only my opinion, like I say. Well, there's a protest in Lincoln on the 22nd, but I won't be attending that one. I think the protest should be up at Scampton.
There's another one again in Skegness on the 29th.
Yep, there's one on the 29th in Skegness again. There's another protest there. Same people again. So, yeah, all that one. Is anyone still here?
I'm still here.
Yeah, still here. Sorry. I thought you got.
Yeah, I'm
Guys,
still
look.
just kept my mate muted while people talking.
You mean, well, I'll start gobbing off, you mean? Yeah.
Right. I just hope that the next protest at Skegness is attended better and is longer than 10 minutes. You know, again, I know it's a way to go for a lot of people, but I'm willing to restream it for people. I don't mind. You know, it's neither here nor there. I still do it. But listen, guys, we don't just have to use YouTube to discuss this. You've got an open room 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on the Grim Reaper radio show on the website. You can go in there, you can just talk about it to your heart's content. And there's no terms of service in there, so you can say what you really want to say. And if you upset someone because you're a little bit heavy-handed, then so be it. You know, it's only feelings. And I'm not into policing feelings.
City. That's from Waddo.
Yeah.
Waddo Scampton.
Scampton again.
Yeah. No,
Have I got a link? Well, I'm actually about to close it down, but the link for the website Stanger's just put up, and just go to meeting room. It is open. Not everybody, you know, you may go in there and wait and nobody turns up. It's just the way it is. If I see you in there, I'll hop in as quickly as I can. But I'm sorry, even I can't be awake 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, which is why I'm drawing this one to the close.
why not? I usually am.
Well, you can go in there, sir. Yeah. And unfortunately, I'm back at work. Well, working proper hours next week, so I'll have even less time.
Can I just add? Don't forget, everybody, that the government have trampled on a £300 million plan for Scampton, where it'll create 1,000 jobs and a place of excellence for aerospace and stuff like that, keeping the airfield open and stuff like that, you know. And they were going to do a big heritage centre to the Red Arrows, to the Dam Busters and everything else. And the government have just pissed all over it.
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
How wrong is that? 300 million, 1,000
Right.
jobs.
I'm going to go around the table. You just had your say. Grandad, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Not falling asleep.
No, I'm here.
Final thoughts.
Well, yeah, I think it needs more discussion, this. That's my thought.
Well, yeah, I agree, but I'm not going to hold it on YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like you say, we're repressed on here. This is it.
Well, yeah, totally agree.
Grim,
Hello,
can I have my say?
in a minute.
Meh.
Mellows, final
Yes, my
thoughts.
friend. Final thoughts. I always wanted to get high.
Spoken by a true person who supports the 420 party.
420, be there.
420.
Be there or be
There.
square.
Your final
Yes, fine.
thoughts for tonight.
We should all be patriots. Everyone should be more patriotic towards their country, man.
Sounds reasonable. I was going to come back
Being
to
serious,
you anyway.
being serious as well.
Yeah, no, I know you
and,
were.
everyone needs to
Okay,
wake
can
the
I just
fuck up and
distinguish
smell the
something?
coffee, pull their head out the backside.
There's a
so much.
difference between being patriotic in this situation and being racist. There is a total difference. You can be passionate about your country, right, and what's right.
Yeah. Who said anything about? Oh yeah,
No,
I agree, 100%.
Yeah, people turn around and they say patriots are racist. I don't think so. I think people.
Maybe in some cases, I think that would probably be a fair argument.
Yeah,
sometimes.
but they take it too far, and they're a little bit more, a lot more discriminative. Right. So I'm coming back to you.
Thing, please.
Yeah, I'm coming back to you because otherwise, Wolf Lover will never ever forgive me.
No, I won't.
I've got a question. After
Here we
you.
go. Yeah, go on then. Who's going first? Melon, with your question. But I would like to end up with
Just gonna say,
Sabar.
when did patriotic become racism?
In the 80s.
How? I missed
Because that's when PC started. It started as because people who were in a minority wanted to become positively discriminated against, in favour of, and that's where it came from.
Can I have my say now?
Well,
Yes,
no,
please.
Nick can finish, and then you can say goodbye to everybody.
I'm not saying goodbye. I just want to say what I think.
I'll go for it then.
Ship them all off to the Sahara Desert with no food, no water, and no cellular devices, and let them all fucking figure out themselves.
The politicians.
Well, on that note, I hate to say that we're not. Grim Reaper Network now closes down on a permanent basis. No.
Politicians as well, yes.
I think it's the politicians we need to think about that one for more than anything else.
Quite a lot of.
But no, seriously, we've not come up with a solution. There wasn't any reason for a solution. It was all about getting awareness. And on that note, I'm going to let Nick close us off for now.
Yeah, all I was going to say is for those that are interested about the plight of Scampton, if you would like to talk with me further, you know where to contact me. I've just put my Discord link in there. If you join that, we can talk there. And thank you, everybody, for listening. I appreciate it.
Well, I want to thank everyone for being so courteous and polite. This is a very emotive and very passionate subject. And thank you so much for keeping us within terms of service. I know some of the comments were a little bit risque, but they're fine. It's not a major issue. I want to thank the panel, including UK came up earlier on, and we had was it UK? My memory's garbage today. Local, sorry, my apologies. I knew it was one of them. I always get confused between the two. I don't know why. They're in two different parts of the country, but hey ho. I want to thank you all for being so respectful, and thank you, if nothing else, respectful to what we've been trying to do today. It could have been a lot worse. We could have got a lot of Karens in here, and the super mods would have had a hell of a job to do. So I really do thank you. No one's been timed out or anything, which is fantastic. I want to thank everyone else who's up here now. Grandad from the beginning. I want to thank Nick for bringing this to my attention. Let's do some more work together. Bear, as always. Normally I would take the mickey, but it's a very serious topic, so I won't. Mellows, I'll catch you later, mate. Thanks for coming up. Thanks for your input. Really do appreciate it. And on that note, folks,
save our Scampton! Save our Scampton!
Save our sanity. I'll see you all again soon, folks. Take care now. Bye.
Bye.
See ya.